Good morning, everybody. My name is Dave Finale, and this is Real Estate Talk TGIF, episode number 293. We have been doing this broadcast for 5.5 years, more than that, 290 weeks in a row with 3 extra episodes. And today we've got a personal friend, a great example of how to grow your business, and just a really good guy. And his name is Oscar Nunez. Oscar, thanks so much for coming on the broadcast today.
Thank you for having me, brother. It's a pleasure. After 5 years, we're back.
Yeah, Oscar was on episode number 27. So we're actually going back to get some of the older people that were on years ago. Older. I just used that phrase with you. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But before we get started, Nelson, let's go to the videotape. Real estate agents, are you looking to acquire clients consistently to grow your business and income for a great lifestyle? Well, this is Dave Finale, and I'm here to bring you the Real Estate Skill Builder broadcast, Real Estate Talk TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and the Modern Agent team. And here we are. This is Dave Finale. That's me, Real Estate Talk TGIF, episode 293. This broadcast is brought to you by something near and dear to my heart that I've been working on for years called the njheroesprogram.com. It is a program where we help heroes, and those heroes are defined as military, veterans, law enforcement, healthcare workers, civil service workers, teachers. And if you are interested in saving a few dollars and getting great support in buying and selling homes in New Jersey, please reach out to us. That's njheroesprogram.com. Also by Real Estate Skill Builder, which is our coaching company. And today we have a friend, Oscar Nunez, joining us today. And Oscar has had a great career in real estate. Mine's been over 40 years. His has been kind of close, 5.5 or 3 or 6 or 7 years. Yeah. Not a lot of years, but the way he started his business and why he was on 5 years ago at episode 27. But first, what I want to do, Oscar, is first, thank you for coming on. And second, I got a question for you. So the question is really simple. What does TGIF stand for?
TGIF, thank God, is finale.
And there you are. See, that's what I call a good guy and a friend. There you go.
I had to think about it really quick, but I made it.
Oscar, thanks so much for coming on. I talked quickly about old. I talked about your journey, and you had come on over 5 years ago, and you had been in business about a year. We talked about a lot of different things, and I want to talk about your journey starting before that, as well as moving forward to where you are today and how you got there. So please give us a great idea of how you started, why you started, how you got started, and how you've been able to build a great team and a great business. Talk to us about your journey.
Man, so I got into the business because technically I had no money to pay for college. That's the main reason I got into the business. My dad used to do real estate in my main country, Honduras. That was his main forte. However, he never did real estate in United States. I was playing soccer, and then I got a full ride for college. And like 2 weeks before college, I got injured. I lost my scholarship. I had no financial aid, nothing to back me up. And my dad, hey, I used to do pretty well in real estate in Honduras, so might as well just get into the business. I hated it. I didn't want to do it. I used to go to class. I went 7 times to the real estate exam.
Wow.
But it was because I was not paying mind into it. However, my ego came in place, and I was like, man, I cannot be this dumb, right, on not passing this exam. So I took it serious. I ended up passing my exam, and then I went to work for Wyker. So Wyker has here's when I got lucky, I would say, and this is the main reason I'm still in business. Otherwise, I probably would have quit. So Wyker has a front desk where for the newbies, they get to be the assistant of the day. First day in business, I'm sitting, expecting calls and stuff like that for other agents. State attorney called me. Hey, I'm calling because I need a real estate agent to list my property. It's an estate sale, paying 6% because it was legit, as an estate. So I got my first listing first day. Next week, I'm putting my for sale sign outside because I didn't have nobody to pay to go put the for sale. Well, I'm putting the for sale sign. I'm struggling. I think it was winter. It was cold. Car passed by. Hey, you putting out the house for sale? I'm like, yeah, can we check it out? I said, absolutely, come on in. It's vacant. Double ended the deal, 6%. My commission was over like 18,000. I was 20, I think 21, somewhere around there. When I saw the check, I was like, I gotta stay in business, man. And it took me another 6 months to get my next deal. But if that check would have never came in, I probably would have quit. I'd be like, yo, like I need money from somewhere. But that changed my business. And I mean, now, like you said before, I own investment properties. I have my own team. I have departments within my team. I am constantly investing in different other businesses, uh, everything related to real estate. So now here I am. I'm still practicing the same things I used to practice before.
So okay, so let's talk about that, right? So in my business, when I'm coaching agents, I'm talking about prospecting and lead generation and a lot of things. And I have 7 basic pillars that I teach on and what I support my business on. And with agents, it's sphere, and in this order, by the way, too: sphere of influence, for sale by owners, expireds, withdrawals, social media, open houses, and circle prospecting.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I do not teach is that's kind of missing there. The
Yeah.
circle prospecting could be, but it's what you based your business on. Talk to us about what's missing there, what I didn't say.
Hey man, so look, I used to door like 150 doors per day, and I know it's
150 a day.
50 a day. And I know it's 150 a day because Wycare used to provide the little door hangers that came in packages of 150. So I used to print out 150 papers to staple every single day in order to do it. The main reason I did it was because honestly, one, I want to make a combination from like old school system with the new systems because I knew nobody was door knocking. Number two, because I was extremely young. So what used to happen is I used to make phone calls and then I would set appointments. And by the time I went to the appointment, they would look at me, who's this little kid? So automatically they would get like a pushback because, back then I was a skinnier, looking younger and everything. So I would automatically get a pushback on my listing appointments. On the door knocking, matter of fact, they have already met me. So I went through over that hurdle. So like, it's me door knocking the property. They already know I'm young, so they won't expect, oh my God, who is this young guy? So I will go through that phase quickly and I'll just go straight into the point of why I was door knocking the property. So door knocking still part of my business. Of course, I don't do 150 houses a day before. Before I used to pick a block and I used to go block by block or spend hours in doing something. Now, if I spend 2 hours, it's a lot. But I don't do house by house. I go strategically into something that I know is going to be converted. So
Yeah,
that's
I remember talking to you. I think we were sitting one day on the Hudson. We were sitting right there on the water. And I said to you, what was your biggest problem when you started your business? Do you remember what you told me?
the young thing, right?
My face.
Yeah, my face. I still have no look. This is the most I ever had ever, and this was grown during COVID because nobody saw me, so I grew one hair every week.
So, all right, man, you've proven that you can be young. It doesn't matter how old you are. But I want to get into the door knocking thing. And funny, man, I went and I sent you the link to the broadcast we did 5 years ago. And, now today and 5 years ago, 80% of your business, you said, was door knocking. And one of the things that I've taken into door knocking, notice it wasn't in my 7 pillars, but the circle prospecting was. And the reason circle prospecting is in one of my pillars is because it's targeted, right? Circle prospecting is to promote open houses. It's to promote a just listed. It's to promote you after you sell. And there's certain scripts and dialogues that I use and coach with that get us there. But you use the targeting door knocking system. Tell us about how you targeted and what you targeted.
So initially, I would say the first 5 months of my door knocking experience, I was doing regular circle prospecting, block by block, like house by house. I was getting good interaction, but then I went into, the systems that people do for cold calling, expires, new constructions, whatever the case may be. But the main reason I did the door knock is because by the time you're making a phone call, you got to set up an appointment. They might cancel that appointment. Now you got to follow up on the door knocking. My listing appointments at that moment, right? So if I catch an expire right now opening the door, that's the way I see it, my listing appointment. That's my time to show who I am or how I'm gonna convert it. If I'm calling, I was like, I gotta make an appointment, and they might hang up the phone. You gotta follow up. They might cancel the appointment. They might meet another realtor in between. So I was not a fan of it. So I strategically went for the expires initially. Then I switched into the absentee owners. That took me a lot of time, but it was my biggest moment that I was able to shine. I used to look for LLC owners that I put a pattern together, how many properties they own. And I used to go to tax records because he said, where the owner lives on that LLC. Then I go to the other owner where he lives until I find where the actual owner lives. I see they own 17 properties. I will go to Franklin Lakes and Dornoka Mansion. Hey, buddy, I know you own this, and this, and this. Is anything that you want to sell for now? You know, so I went to the investors, and that's when I switched my business.
Okay. So I want to go from piece to piece, right? So it was targeted door knocking. You went after expireds. So you would go to expireds. You knew, and you said to yourself, and I get it, man. I mean, it's just like, okay, so people, you're gonna call, you get an appointment. They might hang up on you. They might not show. They might not even be home, or won't answer the door, or
Right.
they'll call you and cancel. A lot of agents think they need to confirm appointments. Notice the word I use, confirm. I say qualify the appointment, completely different.
Yeah.
And it works really, really well. But there's not a lot of people out there teaching the pre-qual call and the pre-qual conversation. But you said that this would be your listing appointment. So did you have collateral with you at that time for the expireds? Would you actually try to get the listing at that point if that was your listing appointment? Talk to us about that process and how you did that.
So I'll be quite honestly, I never had a listing presentation. I literally just incorporated my listing presentation within the last year. I never did everything. For me, I feel like in my experience, or I base it on age and experience in the business, whatever. If I were to present something physically, that was my thought process. I felt like it was gonna look like the new guy trying to get business and going into the listing presentation and all that stuff. So everything that happened with me just came with knowledge on the business, on having me and you having a whole conversation. Every client that I met, I was able to convert through a simple conversation of the real estate business, and now incorporate, like I told you before, I don't even give business cards anymore. So back in the day, same thing. Facebook was more important than Instagram. I would tell people, look, if you want to look who I am, I would give them my Facebook. They will follow me on the spot. I'll make sure we follow each other on the spot. And that was my follow-up. They would look at my just listed, just sold on the contracts every single week. So now I didn't have to follow up. That now they know who I was, and then they will call me back right away and be like, hey, dude, I actually happen to see that you're it. And then they will give me the listing. So whenever I went to the property, I mean, of course, I'll bring like my little business card back in the days. But I would try to secure the listing in that second. I have my listing contracts in the car, ready to go. So, I mean, if I were to do 50 expires, 4 to 6, between 4 to 6 will actually sign on the spot, but the rest would definitely be a follow-up that would be potentially a listing. So for me, it was more engaging conversation with them. And the way I saw is that as soon as I got into the house, I sounded like the expert. I never saw like why the property expired, nothing. I started talking about the house because I always love construction. I'd be like, hey, you might not pass FHA because of this. You need a 2A10BC fire extinguisher for the CO. Once you start saying these little things, they're like, oh, this guy knows his business. And that has been my biggest script when I go to listing appointments. Oh, you need a 2A10BC. That's a fire extinguisher.
Really?
Yeah, because I could have just said you need a fire extinguisher and no more than 10 pounds, whatever. But if I said you need a 2A10BC code, it's just like, yo, this guy knows the coding just for a fire extinguisher to pass a CO. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to handle that for you. Don't worry. We're going to apply for the CO myself. And I know what I need to get for you in order to pass the CO. And trust me, it has worked so many times, you know.
I think that's very cool. As you went in, if you got in the door, you were pretty much, solid in getting either a listing or a follow up. You were able to get it at that point at the same time that you were there on just as door knocking, and they would sign with you.
Yeah, there's people that will sign because remember, these people are already motivated and they're just waiting for somebody. These are people that already got thousands of phone calls by a realtor. They already know the process. They already know how much is a commission. And ultimately, if I told them this is your price, this is how much it's worth, and this is what your realtor lack in order to get it done, there was no other excuse in why wouldn't they give me the listing at that moment. Like it was as simple as, hey, dude, you were just interested in selling 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. What was the main reason you couldn't get it sold? They will give me, oh, the listing agent didn't do an open house. Oh, that's crazy. I do open houses every Saturday and Sunday, 1 to 4. So once they give me the objection, I already knew that I had to say the opposite. So I was like, you know what? And what's your agreement? And I just went through the process and I'll just get it done. Now,
So
what I do different is when I go to the appointment, right? Before, remember, it was paper based and they didn't have an assistant or anything like that. So while I'm getting there, I'm texting my assistant, hey, I might get this listing. Please prepare a presentation while I'm there with the documents filled up about the properties. So I'm like, hey, guys, if you guys are ready, look, this is my assistant. She already sent everything. You just got to click on it. And that's it. And you'll be surprised. Like a lot of people do it.
so not only have you built a system where you're not calling, your door knocking, you're not giving them a second chance to say no or to feel whatever. You're also preparing the document ready to go, and you're going in, which is really important. The next thing I'm about to say is you're assuming you got the listing.
Yeah.
So you've told, and what you've done there also is I want everybody to listen, is what he's done is as he's built his business. Now, everybody can't do this right away. I know some people started their business with an assistant, right? But you have leveraged time by having an assistant have that all ready for you. And then you're going on about your business, doing what you really love to do and
Yeah.
not worrying about the paperwork. So everybody, I want people that are watching this and that will watch this to understand the power of leverage, because this is what Oscar has done. All right. He's leveraged not only himself and his time, but also his paperwork, where he doesn't have to really worry too much about it, where it's getting done. And that in and of itself, Oscar, I think probably has gotten you some listings just because you had that ready to go and your assistant did it.
Yeah,
Would you agree with
absolutely.
that?
Like now my business, I don't really, I mean, I practice retail business as far as like regular sellers and regular buyers, right? I have my team that handle that. Like I handle the investment world, and when I handle the investment world, like all these investors, they want that leverage. They want to make sure I'm not that realtor that just gonna do an open house. So while I'm having a conversation about the construction itself, I'm texting my admin, can you prepare a whole pre-construction package for this investor while I'm there? So when I'm talking to this investor right now, we're switching the coin before like regular sellers now, because I don't really no longer do that now, straight up into the investment world. Those investors are like, wait, you just prepared that while I was here? I was like, yeah, my assistant did it. So now they already know that I have everything covered without them worrying that I need to go show a property, open a door. Like my main priority is them. So now I changed my business completely. I leverage everything that I have.
And that's really important. That's how I've seen you grow over the years. When we first met 5.5 years ago or more, actually, yeah, probably about 5.5 years ago, where you've gone through and you've grown your business systematically, brokerage to brokerage, as well as, starting a team, growing a team, doing investment. Um, Talk about your decision to start growing with more people. I know that, correct me if I'm wrong, I know your sister started working with you at one point,
Yeah.
and I know she's still with you. So talk to me about what the process was. And I want to know the good and the bad of the thought about building a team as you started getting growing, and the good and the bad of it. What was the start, and how did you conquer the bullshit?
Honestly, I never really went through the process of thinking that I needed a team at all. The
I
main reason,
remember that conversation we had a
yeah,
long time ago. You
the
didn't want to.
main reason I did it, quite honestly, is that I was getting so many clients that I noticed there was a pattern of a lot of clients complaining that I was not following up properly, right? Because I was getting so, I would say, busy. I had so many leads in a combination of listings, rentals, and buyers, and I was doing everything that I needed help. I needed assistant. I needed to make sure that my name was still the same. Like nobody will complain, Oscar never answers, and whatever the case may be. So now my sister actually was the second person I acquired. I got some other guy in the team that he was helping with the buyers. Then my sister came in place. Now I had two people. Now my business kept growing. So now I just kept incorporating people. And then I realized that what I wanted to do was I wanted to dominate the listing game. So I make sure like I look for little me's, right? So when everything that I was applying, I needed to cover different counties, right? Back in the day, it was mainly Hudson County, and I was just in my comfort zone. So I needed to get another agent who was doing Union County and pretty much do the same thing that I was doing. Then another agent in Bergen County. And from then, like right now I could have 30 agents. I get
Right,
calls all the time that people want
right.
to join my team and stuff like that. I capped it at a 10 because I want to make sure I have 10 good soldiers just going at full, at full space. So that's pretty much where I decided to open a team just because didn't want to ruin my name because I had so many clients.
So I want to. You just said you looked for little me's, right? I want to tell people what that means. Basically, for me, just to tell you, is the reason that I walked away from my brokerage almost 6.5 years ago was because I wanted to work with people that wanted to work. I wanted to work with people that had the passion and energy that I had. And we all know that, I'm not as young as I used to be, but I still got the energy, still got the passion. You know what? I'm still up at 4:15. I'm still going to the gym every morning, yada, yada, yada. And I want to work with those kind of people. And the reason I say that and about myself is it's very similar to what you did and what you're doing. You wanted people like you in order to expand the list. You wanted to dominate the listing game. So you wanted people like you that would work. And I'm sure you had a lot of people that were not like you that wanted to work with you, that wanted you to, hey, can you give me some leads and all this stuff? What was the process, or was there a process, or when you noticed someone, you said, hey, we should work together? How did that happen?
So it's funny. Look, especially now, I have a 3-month pre-commitment with the team, which just goes over the coaching process. I'm coaching them for 3 months. And this is only if I think there's a potential within there. 3 months where I'm coaching that person. It's not mandatory to get into Zoom calls with me. It's not mandatory of me going to their appointments, but I definitely keep them accountable for 3 months in a row. If those 3 months, I realize somebody that could come join the team, or vice versa. Like I always tell people, look, I don't take it offensive if I don't want you on my team automatically. I want to make sure you like me and you like the way I work. I don't want you to join the team and 2 weeks later be like, you know what, this is not what I thought, and then I had to leave. That's not what I want. So I make sure I go through that 3-month process and want to make sure that they like me. I like them. I like their work ethic. They like my work ethic. If everything has alignment between those 3 months, I open the conversation if they want to join the team, and then they get to join the team. One of the little things that I do, which is going to sound, I guess, not even good or bad, I don't know how I'm going to say it. The way I chose my team also, since I'm learning about the person, I want to make sure they're highly motivated and they have a reason to work. Like nobody in my team, for example, is a single person. Everybody has kids. Everybody's married. Everybody has a husband and wife because they have a reason to work, right? And the reason that has helped myself, keep myself accountable because, I'm still single. I'm young. So if I get somebody else that's single in the team, what's going to happen when I end up going out as often? Doesn't matter how disciplined you are. I'm so close to my team that my team, if I take them to dinner, they got to go back home by 8. So I got to go home back at 8 because, my team is my family. So I make sure I chose people that they have a reason to work. They're motivated. They have I have kids to go to that I got to work for, So now my team is just on steroids. Everybody's working. Everybody has a reason to work. So that's how I selectively choose my team. Now I go through the 3-month trial, but I also look at little things, behaviors between themselves, if they want to go through that phase of the 3 months and stuff like that.
I think that's a great way to look at it, and it's kind of sort of what I've looked at too. If people know me, they know that I'm not for everybody, and I have a way about me, and I'm kind of aggressive, and some people might say abrasive, and I really don't give a shit, But my point is that I want to help people, and if I have people coming in, and I'm sure you're the same way. I have people coming in and say, "Oh yeah, I can't make it today. I have to. I gotta clean my room, or I've got something like that going on." I have gotten that excuse, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy, right? I got to clean out my drawers. I got to clean the closet or whatever. I mean, to me, you have no value because you're really not a person that wants to work. Look, this business is very simple to get into. It's very easy to get into. There's no barriers to join. You need a high school diploma in the state of New Jersey. That's really all there is to it. And you know what? It doesn't matter how long it takes you to get into the business. If it's something that you're passionate about, then you can do it. So you've grown your team slowly but surely. I know you probably let more people on as time goes on, but we're in a process here of so many years in the business. Talk to me about how you've been able to expand and work with other agents in different places.
Other agencies, you mean?
Agents.
Oh, agents. So I'm talking about myself or other agents?
No, you.
Yeah, I mean, within my team, I'm trying to elaborate the question because the question is like how am I able to work with other agents, right?
Other people, right? Well, you've got agents in different places, don't you, or no?
Well, I have people within like right now. I'm expanding to Florida, so for the most part, my team right now is Jersey because
Right.
like the way I want to run my business is that I want to make a full expansion. Like that's what I'm doing right now. Like I'm building departments within my team. Like I just built my short sale department. I'm gonna do my property management department. Like I want to make sure that everything's running properly. I don't want to have agents in one place and just doing one two transactions. I want to make sure that the way I'm doing my expansion is I hire a manager within a state, right, and they run my team. So now I'm currently doing that in Florida. Right now we're getting our license in New York as we speak. We should be able to get it sometime in February. I already have a person who's going to be running the team. Within the team, we also do PA. So I mean, those are the different areas. But the way I want to run it one more time is like little me, right? So I want to have a little manager running the team. Somebody is motivated as me running the team. I don't want to have just a bunch of agents, same thing, same concept. Just working under the team. I'm just gonna make sure like the person that I manage, they're comfortable in working with another leader and doing the same ethics and the same models that we have in my team.
So the point I'm making is that you have taken the same process with your close team to where you
Yep.
want to expand as time
Correct.
goes on, and you've got it all planned out, along with the expansion of not only buying and selling, helping people buy and sell, but also you said property management, you said investment, everything else that you're putting into it. So investment. So you've done some investing, and you went from agent, listing agent, investor, and now you just work with investors. Talk to me
Correct.
about, a lot of people want to do that. I talk to a lot of agents, and I'm sure you do too. They get into the business because they want to become an investor. They want to become, honestly, I think they talk about the way they talk is they want to become a big shot,
Yeah.
right? I know that's not you, but what I want to ask you is, you've gone from being the agent to the investor. And I know you didn't get in this business to be an investor. How
Yeah.
did that strike you, and how did that start in you to become the investor? And what did you have to make sure of to do that? Because a lot of people want to do it and they're not ready.
Correct. Well, so everything started with me. I will never forget this. What there was this one guy who is from Jersey City based, he's a developer. He was actually my first investor client. And he told me, buddy, what are you doing? Like, I'm gonna teach you a lesson and not just to become a realtor. And he gave me listings, I will never forget, on Avon Avenue in Newark. That back in the day, Avon Avenue, it was Avon Avenue. Then, but I will never forget, he'll pull up in his porch, like, look, I want you to sell all these properties. I own this, and this. And when I realized that, okay, I'm just being an agent, and every time I saw the HUD, like how much money they were going to the bank accounts, how much money was going to me, I started tagging along with those other investors. And I've been lucky enough to say that every investor has stick with me year to date. And I gained so much knowledge in the investment world that a lot of my deals, a lot of my properties that I'm selling, my money's in the deal. So I've been able to leverage not just being the investor, like you said before, but also knowing how to run my money with these investors. Like every investor that I have, they always ask me to fund the deal. I give it to them. So it almost guarantees my listing, perhaps, right? And
Right.
my money to be reinvested again. So now my entire business, I would say, is 95% investors. We have so many constructions going on. We have 43 flips currently going on. Some of them are mine, some of them are my money in the deal, some of them are just listings. But I realized that in the investment world, it's straight to the point. It's worth this much. This is how much we got to spend. There's no emotions attached. It's more like straight to the point. And I always been that type of guy. Like I don't like to go through the whole phase of why you shouldn't list, why will you list. He is straight to the point. And now a lot of my clients are my partners. A lot of my clients, they're people that I give money, they're friends and stuff like that. So that's how I transitioned first, because I realized that I was going every time I prospected for a listing, it was at one client base, client at a time, client at a time. Investor, I'll make one investor that have 50 properties. Guess what? That was 50 guaranteed listings that I would get. And that's when I was realizing that these people have 50 properties, how much they're netting, and then how quick is it to get there? It's not even hard to get into the investment one whatsoever.
So let me ask this question: when agents are working with investors, one of the things that I always thought was important is that a residential agent and a commercial agent, just to just
Yeah.
to qualify each, there's a different methodology. And one of the things I always like to figure out when I'm talking to investors is ask them what their actual strategies are. Is that important for you when you're working with an investor? What their strategy is and what their outcome they're looking for?
Yeah, it just makes you more savvy agent. Every time I meet an investor, is like, what's your game plan on every property? Are you always trying to have an exit strategy? Are you going straight into the how much is going to be sell of an A or B? Do you have any other plans if it fails, like when you're going to cash out, when you're going to refinance? So once I became so knowledgeable into the construction, into the finance world of, to an extent on the investment world as a realtor, as a typical realtor, most realtors don't know this. And if I'm having these conversations with investors, just takes it to another level, right? So whenever I meet somebody, I always try to look at the bigger picture on the deal. Like, if you fail on not selling this, what's your exit strategy, right? So now they already know I'm looking in their best interest, and that's has helped me so much in my career.
Yeah, and that's really important. I mean, it's really important to be able to talk to people. And in the beginning of our conversation today, you talked about when you went to expireds and you door knocked, your whole point was to have a conversation, was not to be the real estate guy at the door. And when you got inside, you started talking about what you would do and how you would do it. You asked questions and you used their answers to boast your position.
Correct.
Has a lot to do with what I call active listening, where you're asking a question, you're actually listening to the answer. A lot of agents go about their business, they don't listen. I'm not being negative on our business. I'm talking about the majority of the agents in there that aren't as successful as they really want to be because their listening skills aren't that good. When it comes to transitioning from residential to commercial, the questions are a lot different, right?
Yeah, they don't ask you like, are you gonna do an open house? Are you gonna take professional pictures? Like, they don't look. If I'm working at construction with a guy, I'd be like, oh, you paid $2 a square feet over here, right? That's about it, right? You probably spent about $150,000 because you had to put the new wiring. Like, that's a 2x4. You should have put like all these conversations. They looked at me. I was like, how you know this? They don't ask me like, are you a realtor? They're just gonna do an open house. As soon as I'm working at construction, I'm already looking at the entire concept. Hey, look, you might fail this up to code. And they were like, really? I'm like, yeah, man. Look, it's not like where the standards are. And they once you have that conversation, they're like, that's it. That's your client guarantee because you're looking in the best interest on them. And you understand from the beginning to end. I don't wait until the project's done to talk to a developer or anything like that. I go from face to face and I go to the site. I take pictures. I tell them, look, where the property stands, how far. Hey, man, it shouldn't take you more than 2 weeks to put a siding. Just an example, right? I use so many things that they'll be like, yo, this guy knows real estate, and that's people I feel like who get into real estate, they forget that they're in the real estate business and they think that they're in the marketing business and they just go, I'm gonna do open houses, take pictures and whatever, every realtor is doing the same thing. But if you understand the real estate world, you're never gonna fail.
So, Oscar, do you ever get it where they say, well, what the hell do you know? I mean, why are you asking me these questions about, how the wall should be set up with 2x4s or whatever, and the wiring? I mean,
It just comes, yeah, it does come
I mean,
across.
you learned it. I'm not saying you don't know. I'm saying you've learned it and you got. But the response is, you said yourself, it's a completely different. But
Right.
look, there's a lot of young people out there that want to do what you're doing,
Yeah.
and it's like they don't know what you know. And you've learned it from the ground up, literally, as I did.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really important for people to listen to this. Quick story is, I'm working with a brand new agent. And we've been working on doing some prospecting, lead gen through phones. We've been working on using some social media prospecting, et cetera. And we went along to a 4-family. And I told them, I said, the 4-family that we're going to work on is a lot different than a single family home because the buyer is going to be a lot different for the most part.
Correct.
So you want to ask them what their strategies are. Is this an investment for you? Are you going to be living there? Different than a mixed use property or whatever. And it's a completely different thing. And I know that I need to switch gears when training and coaching in that. And I mean, when you're there, it's easy.
Correct.
Because you know what you're talking about.
And I think it's easier though. It's easier. It's easier to get into the investment world because it's just the basics of real estate. There's no, it's like you gotta understand what's square footage. You don't gotta play with it with emotions. It is what it is. The construction, the price points, everything. Like this, there's nothing that you need to play around with the investor and be trying to convince them psychologically. Like you know what you know about construction, about real estate, period. So I think it's a little bit more. Just I think people are just too scared to do it because they think it just takes more, you know. And don't get me wrong, some developers, they're arrogant. Of course, they've been doing it for business for years. But once you show that you know something, right, you never want to contradict your client or trying to pretend that you know more than they do. But if you know more than what a realtor knows, it's enough to convert somebody like that.
Exactly. So, all right. So let's talk about residential and let's talk about commercial, or I'm sorry, residential investment. You're a new agent. You want to get into residential realty. You want to be really big. You want to be the next Oscar Nunez, right? The next Don. I see that in a minute.
Yeah.
What should they do?
I mean, the basics. This business, I never understood why people think so much about how to get business. If you go to every top producer, and that's what I learned quick. If you go to any company, and if you go to any training, if you go to any coach, you ask them, what should I do? Everybody's gonna say the same damn thing, right? Everybody prospect, call, door knock, door knock, door knock. Now we have the social media, right? That you gotta mix between it. So there's no science behind it. You just gotta do it and be disciplined. Because one of the things that I did myself when I got into the business, I committed myself, and I had the benefit back in the day because I had no responsibility to pay credit cards or mortgages. So if you don't have no responsibility like that, you should be taking advantage of this business. I committed myself for 6 months to learn how what was I successful at. So what I used to track, I used to be okay. Every door knock that I get, I'm meeting 10 clients. So I used to track every single day. Every phone call that I did, I would only get one client. Every open house that I did, I would get two clients. So I was tracking my numbers. And when I realized, I was like, damn, every door knock, every time I door knock every week, I get 2 listings. I get 3 listings. I realized what I was good at. So I did it 6 months. You could do it in 3 months, 4 months if you realize how good you are. And then I realized I was good at door knocking and getting listings. I just went full beast mode. But there's no other science behind it. You just got to do it every single day because this is a numbers game. 1 week, you might get 0 listing. Next week, you'll get 10, So it's just doing every day because the same way I'm doing it, I know there's other thousands of agents doing the same thing in my same market. So it's whoever hits it first, And to be honest, everybody chooses realtor based on personalities. Experience does apply, but I feel now people do it based on social media or this guy about the cloud and everything. So now every agent has an opportunity to be a successful real estate. Before, everybody will ask this question: oh, how many years you been in business? Which company you are? Are you in a big company? Are you a Remax? Are you a Cold Banker? Like are you a local office? Is your office in my neighborhood? They used to ask those questions. Now we have the leverage that companies like EXP and Real, you're like cloud. You don't need an office. You don't need to say where your office at. You just gotta do business. Period. So now
Right.
everybody has the opportunity to do everything they want just on there.
All right. So, oh yeah. Okay. So I'm sorry. I had a question ahead in my head. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Little brain freeze there for a sec. So you decided that your niche was going to be expires and you were going to do it by door knocking. Does that mean that we always say that, I ask agents, new agents, who they work with, who they want to work with. And they'll say, I work with everyone. And the old saying in the business is when you work with everyone, you work with no one. And it's important to have it niched down to the type of person you want to work with.
Yeah.
Your type of person simply was an expired listing.
Yeah, but I did the 6 month that I told you, right? I
Right.
saw what my conversion was going to. I was doing everything, but I was doing it on a calendar base. So I was okay. Every Monday, I knew I was gonna do like expires. Every Tuesday, I was gonna do just neighborhood. Every Wednesday, I was just gonna do for sale by owner. So I was doing one thing per day, but I was tracking my numbers. If I door knock 50 for sale by owners, only got 1 listing, but I did 20 expire and I got 10. I already know what I was good at. So now I started transitioning to what I was good at, and just forcing myself to do it more and more. So now my conversion was getting better. And now I realized what I was good at. So I stick with it. And then when I stick with it, I was able to grow and then saw other aspects of the business where you become better at,
Time and time again, we have different people on this broadcast and the same thing comes out. It's a numbers game. You have to track your numbers. And lastly, but most importantly for me, is you just said the magic word schedule, right? You said Mondays I'm doing this, Tuesdays I'm doing this, Wednesdays I'm doing that. Was that an important thing for you to know exactly what you're going to do on what day and what time you're doing it?
Absolutely. That's the key of my business still. I need to know what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm not gonna, scramble around. I gotta look at my calendar. I know every day I got to prospect, but I gotta know what I'm gonna prospect. I just don't go on the limbo. Now my prospects is so precise on what I'm going to. I just choose the city that I'm gonna go to. But I already know what city I'm gonna go. Before it was just okay, I'm gonna go to expires anything in Hudson County. Now, okay, I know which city I'm gonna target per day. You know, because it's investments. I look for absentee owners, LLCs, so I go for a specific target. So it's completely different than before. But your schedule should be the most important thing because if you wake up and okay, I'm gonna prospect, but what are you gonna prospect? Like based on what? You mentally don't know what you're gonna do, so you're gonna have to spend 2 more hours trying to figure it out who you're gonna call and think about it as a should I call? No, I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna go with something else, and that's you're never gonna be able to perform every weekend. I used to say, okay, I'm gonna switch up the schedule. In the mornings, I'm a call. In the mornings, I'm gonna door knock. That was my thing. Before I used to choose based on neighborhood. If I knew I was gonna target a neighborhood, there was a lot of millennials. I would door knock in the afternoon. Why? Because they're coming back from work. If I used to go to retirement communities, I would go in the morning because you have the elder people, they're already retired, they get in their coffee, they get in their car to go to the doctors, right? So you catch them right as soon as they leave. So they're like, yeah, wait, hold up, So now like I would start thinking based it on those little things, until I realized that it was working for every single client that I had.
Yeah, and I always like to talk with agents and tell them, look, I know what I'm doing 3 Wednesdays from now. I know where I'm going to be. I know how I'm going to do my prospecting, whatever I'm going to do. I know who I'm working with. Okay, so you're a successful real estate agent. You're doing pretty good. Maybe not doing great, but you're doing pretty good. Whatever it is, you're doing great. You want to get into and working with investors. Now, is there a process? Is there a methodology that you use? I want to work with investors now. I'm sick of working with homeowners or buyers or whatever it is. Is there a process, Oscar?
It's a different game, right? Because you can no longer come with the regular, typically real estate agent cap on, where you're gonna just go and show up and be like, your property's worth this much. I take pictures and do this. Like same concept. You should never go through that process. What I used to do before? It sounds corny, but I used to go to Home Depot every morning just to look the price of the lumber, the price of the plumbing, like that.
Really?
Yeah, I used to walk every morning the aisles. I'd be like, okay, most constructions will require this sort of, product and materials. So I used to learn those prices. So whenever I go to a construction and talk to the developer, yo, you saw it's crazy. Right now the lumber is this much, right? So they were like, damn man, yeah, I know. Like right now, just to build this house, it cost me 300,000. And I said, okay, what's the square footage of the house? All right, perfect. So I already know that 2,000 square feet home costs $300,000 to build. So now, guess what? When I went to the other developer, they're like, "Yo, you probably cost you $300,000 to build this, right? Because it's about 2,000 square feet home." They look at me and was like, "Yo, you know what you're doing." So I was able to. If you're gonna go into the Western world, you need to learn. You need to learn the real estate business when it comes to construction and when it comes to the finance aspect of it. You need to advise them on where they're going to go on based on if they had to refinance exit strategies, like how they're going to run the numbers based on a lot of realtors. Just an example, whenever I hear real, and I get a lot of listings like that, because there's developers that they call me every single time, every day. Two of investors just text me right now, I got to look at it. It's like, how much you think I could sell this property for, right? And they don't, when they ask me that question, most realtors, they would just go based on the comps, right? They'll be like, oh, everything's selling for this much, whatever. What I tell my clients, like, okay, look, how much are you getting it for? 350. Okay, you gotta consider carrying costs, soft costs. You gotta apply there. If you don't sell it, what's your monthly tax payments? Like if you gotta pay the water bill. So I keep adding every single expense. I would just say, okay, cost you this much, renovations this much, you sell it for this much. Okay, you're gonna make 200,000. No, I told them, look, remember, you have carrying costs, you have soft costs, you have like gotta pay taxes every month that you don't sell. So I started adding those numbers, and they looked at me, yo, you're looking for my money, and you become more knowledgeable. So now they give you 30 more houses they're flipping. So I feel like if you're gonna get into the investment world, take off your real estate cap on, where you're gonna take professional pictures, where you're gonna do open houses Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like that's the basics. That those are things that you should do on a regular listing. On the investment, you should understand the business. from A to Z. And at that point, you never fail.
So everybody, you've got an education on how to be a residential agent and how to transition into investment. We talked a little bit about your prospecting and how you did it and how you support a lot of your business. Just a couple more things. I want to talk about social media. As we talked before we came on, I believe there's several different ways social media can be used. And I know that when I talked about my pillars of business, social media was number 5. And social media is extremely important because I think, number one, for most of everybody, it's a verification that you are who you say you are, number one. Number 2, if you're doing your business properly, this social media is a way that you can actually do most of your prospecting only if you're doing it a certain way. And that's basically with social media engagement, which most agents don't understand. Engagement is actually you going and engaging rather than waiting for people to post or comment on your stuff. The other way is like you used it. And you used it, correct me if I'm wrong, you use it as your follow-up system where, hey, look, you know what? Connect with me on Instagram, connect with me on Facebook. And people would go there and say, oh, shit, this guy does know what he's talking about. And if they didn't list with you at that time, then they came back.
Yeah, correct. My social media is my business card and my CRM. That's the way I put it. And like just a quick example, yesterday, I took a listing. The guy, I kept my listing presentation while I'm talking to him about his development. Hey, look at this property I just sold. And I was showing him my pre-construction marketing. I showing him, look, my videos, how many people look at my videos, how many clients potentially they could reach out to him. That second, man, I need to follow you right now. He followed me. His friends started following me. They're all investors. They're all developers. And that's it. That's my business card. The guy never asked me for my business card. Never asked me how many sales are you doing? How many transactions are you doing? Do you invest in reals or nothing? They saw my social media, which my social media is legit. Like every property that you see there, I'm involved in it. So now automatically that's your CRM and that's your follow-up system. You know, if that's the main thing that realtors lack, right? Realtors lack about following up, period, right? Most realtors, I would say 90% of realtors, they suck at following up.
Yep.
If you suck at following up, you should be taking advantage of social media. Every single client, every single person that you want to work with should be in your social media because automatically you don't have to follow up. They are following up with you. They look up and say, you know what? Oscar, like I have a little thing on my social media, Wednesday's listings with the Nunez group, right? So every Wednesday, clients are expecting to see what I listed for that week. You know, so that automatically I had clients. I haven't done that in 2 weeks. I've been slacking a little bit. I was on vacation. But every Wednesday I'll post every single property that I listed of in that week. So I had client, hey, no Wednesday videos, you know, like clients that I even forgot about them. They just kind of like reply, hey, I like the Wednesday videos. I have more listings coming up this week. So that just gives me credibility. That's my CRM. That's my follow-up system.
And you know, it's interesting. I mean, that happens to you, and people will probably come up to you that you don't even know, and ask you if you got any listings coming up. I was at an event last night. 2 people I never even met before. So yeah, I follow you on Facebook. I love your videos. You know, I see the stuff you're doing. Thanks for all your help. I don't know who they are. I mean, when you're doing it and you're consistent with it, it helps a lot. All right, man. This has been great conversation. I got to ask you one thing, show you something, and ask you a few more questions. Don. Talk to me about what Don means. Because when I was going through your stuff, I saw Don. I said, what the? I don't get it. Talk to me about Don.
So Don is funny. I did it because in the Spanish community, right, Don means like an elder person. Some people consider that as like as an elder person. Some people consider that like as a big baller kind of thing, whatever. But it applies more towards the adult. And the reason I did it is because when I was cold calling or whenever I was leaving my door hangers and people would call me, especially the Spanish people, they thought I was an older person. So I put my voice deep back before just to sound like as an older experienced person. So they'll be like, hey, Don Oscar. So just stick with it. So I liked it. Everybody kept calling me Don Oscar. And when they met me, it was like, wait, you're not Don Oscar. You're a little kid. So now it's like, you know what? I'm going to call myself Don Oscar because every single client was calling me like that. Just because over the phone, they thought I was like older person, but because a lot of people know me as Don now, so it just works in a way, you know.
It's respect and Don Oscar.
Yeah, but like I always tell people, don't take it like that because I want people to think it's like an ego thing. It's more like everything happened because people thought I was older on the phone.
Well, we're friends, so I'm going to bust your chops about it anytime I can. So,
Yeah.
okay, so I wanted to just to do one other little thing, talking about when we were on the broadcast over 5 years ago, and I can't help it. I hope you don't mind. Take a look at this, everybody.
Oh my God. First of all, I need a haircut.
That was 5 years ago when you were on the broadcast. We used a different system back then. But I saw that. I said, I got to take a screenshot of this and use this on Friday. But anyway, man, I really want to thank you so much for your time today and reconnecting. And it's always a pleasure talking with you. You're such a respectful young man. And listen to me, the old freak saying that. But you are. And you're a good man. You're a hard worker. I've learned a lot today. I mean, I always learn something from you when I talk to you. I have just one question for you, and then one other thing. How can I help you grow your business?
I mean, I always tell people that I believe in accountability, right? I feel like you always should have somebody that, besides the experience, could back you up whenever you're lacking in something. In your case, you're doing phenomenal on what you do. Like you are applying what realtors should be applying in the business when it comes to the follow-up, the consistency. Even just an example, like I was telling my assistant right now, like your follow-up for the podcast was insane. I was like, because I know I was on vacation and I feel bad. I was like, yo, I know this guy got to follow, but that follow-up leads to this, right? That follow-up, and I understand the game, right? Because I'm like, I shouldn't be annoyed because I do the same thing with my clients. So This is just something that agents should take advantage from whenever you have somebody like yourself that, besides helping them on the basics, it's just that accountability person that will tell you where to take your business to the next level, because we're all not perfect. I know I'm lacking a lot of stuff. I'm sure you're lacking a lot of stuff. So the guys that are missing, you could fill them in. I'm sure you have other people on top of you that they're supporting your business and how to run your business. So what you're doing is phenomenal, and I think everybody should be taking advantage of it. And your accountability and your follow system, it just literally gave me another lesson that I should keep following up. So you always learn something from somebody else. Like myself, like I need to keep trying, even though it doesn't matter if that person doesn't answer for 2 weeks. I'm gonna call every single day until I get it done.
Yeah, and honestly, after this broadcast, the first thing I do is I'm going to be following up with the next 10 guests. Right? So and some I haven't got. I mean, you can go, and these are people that if I said their names, you would know who they are because they're national coaches, etc. That I'm saying, come on, man, and they're friends. So I think the closer I am to people, the harder it is to get them to respond. Because Dave, I'll get to him later. Anyway, last but not least, episode 27. I don't believe I was doing this yet, and you found out about the hats. So we are at a point where it's time for the hat. We have your Instagram on the board there. And there is your contact info. So if anybody's looking to get in touch with Oscar, this is how you do it. Instagram. There's his email and his phone number. Oscar, we got this hat coming to you. And I want to thank you so much for being on again. And please hang out for a second. Next week, we got another great show for you coming up. It'll be episode 294. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to be here. I hope you're there. God bless everybody. Oscar, hang out. And Nelson, thank you so much. Hit the video.
Thank you, everybody.